No, and I think it's better to love people for who they could be. I think so.
It's better to love people for who they could be. In other words, you know the moral shortcomings of your friend, but you are going to love him for who he can be.
Well, I mean, when you look, it's complicated, right? Because you love people and they have their shortcomings and their vulnerabilities, and you have to take that as a package. But look, if you're someone's friend, if you're really someone's friend, and they betray themselves, you're unhappy with them for doing that because they've sacrificed their better self for their lower self. And if you're a real friend, that doesn't sit well with you. So I don't know to what degree we love each other because we see the ideal in someone else and are trying to encourage that forward. But I know in my clinical practice, there's a psychologist, Carl Rogers, a famous psychologist, and he propounded this theory of unconditional positive regard, that you should have that with your clients, unconditional positive regard. And I thought through that a lot. I thought, no, that isn't right. I get what he was doing. I'm a great admirer of Carl Rogers, and his work taught me a lot. But my sense in therapy was the best in me is serving the best in you.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to help you do is separate the wheat from the chaff. You and I will both decide what ideal we're pursuing in relationship to your life. I don't want to impose that on you. It has to be a consequence of dialogue because I don't know you and you're a particular person and your direction is your particular direction. It can't be mine. That would be wrong. But once we've established your direction and your ideal, then part of what we're doing in dialogue is to separate out what is unworthy of that in you. And I can't see how you don't do that with your friends and with the people that you love.
You have to, but it's hard because you love them and you know that the things you say could hurt them. And the last thing you want to do is hurt the people you love. And so sometimes you put a Band-Aid on these cuts with like a baby lie, and it's selfish. If you really wanted to help that person, you would tell them the fucking truth. You deal with that discomfort. They would deal with the discomfort, and then they'd get better, and then you guys would be better.
Yeah, or you get sophisticated enough in your ability to do that, so that you can serve both the masters we talked about at the same time. You can tell the truth, but you don't do it in a way that's damaging.
And
that's hard. Let's not make any mistake about it. This is very, very difficult.
That's a tightrope.
I do think, like, I thought a lot about friendship and about if something good happens to you and you have a friend, you can go tell them and they're happy for you. And that's because they want things to be better for you, right? Yeah. They're not jealous. They're not upset about it.
Yeah.
And I do think that we see the ideal in people that we love and we try to call that forward. I believe that to be the case. I think that's right.
Yeah. Now you got me thinking about like friends, and I'm trying to understand like when I know that I really like love somebody as a friend, and there's like a weird protective instinct that kicks in where I have this like this not vision, but like when you have this like imaginary play that's going on in your head, this scenario has never worked out. Oftentimes it happens after an act, right? Like what I would have said to that guy who embarrassed me or something like that. But like I'll have this little play in my head where somebody does something to that person that I love, and then I inflict some sort of pain on that person to demonstrate to the person I love that nobody can do anything to them without me doing something. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's kind of like barbaric that I got to like beat somebody up to prove that I love somebody. But I wonder if that's like instilled in our DNA. It's like the people that become part of our tribe, we want them to know that they're safe, that they're protected. And that safety and that protection is.
No, I think that I think that's part of the hero myth, as far as I'm concerned, is to protect your territory against the barbarian interloper, right? Yeah. The evil barbarian interloper. Yeah. And there is something about that can go terribly wrong, obviously, but there is something that's noble and heroic about it. A lot of that instinct has to be transmuted up into the religious domain, I think, essentially. So
what does that mean?
Because you do want to protect the people that you love, but it isn't precisely that you want to protect them against the bad person who might come along. It's that you want to protect them from malevolence itself, right? It has to be abstracted upward.
You can't beat up an idea or a feeling. You can beat up a bad guy, right? But you can't beat up bad behavior that they're doing.
Well, you know, you play out the fantasy in a concrete way, but there's something in it that can be elevated.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to make a child confident and competent, then you are in fact helping them fend off malevolent incursions against them,
Yes,
right? And so that is what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you can do it in a manner that's sophisticated.